Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to continue our NFL predictions with Week 7. And last week, I got every single game right except for one. Thanks, Denver. Which brings my total season record up to 55-37. Now, this week is actually a special week because it's tight ends week. Tight ends day is, I believe, this Sunday. So today, that'll be a day we honor that position that has pretty much revolutionized over the past decade. But before we get into the games, a reminder that the Chicago Bears and the Dallas Cowboys are the two teams on bye weeks this week. One team having momentum headed to the bye, the other, they desperately needed it because they need to get healthy. I'll let you figure out which teams I'm talking about. And starting off, we have the Denver Broncos taking on the New Orleans Saints on Thursday Night Football. This is the Sean Payton Bowl. The first time Sean Payton will be taking on his former team, the New Orleans Saints. Broncos, the only team that I got wrong last week, laid an egg against the Los Angeles Chargers, although they did try to come back very, very late in that game. And the New Orleans Saints, they had a decent showing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough. And that's pretty much been the theme for the New Orleans Saints these past couple of years. They have had good showings, but at the end of the day, it just never be enough for them. And for this game, I was going to pick New Orleans to win, but then I realized Chris Olave is out. He's going to be out with a concussion, as will Pat Surtain. I think he's going to be out as well for the Broncos. So I've gone back and forth, but I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos to win because I think it means a little bit more to Sean Payton if he gets this win. And then we have a London game with the New England Patriots taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh God. The Patriots, Drake May's debut had a bit of promise. 3 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions. And for Jacksonville, man, it was a rough showing against the Chicago Bears. And it wouldn't be surprised if the Jaguars lose this game. Doug Peterson might be exiting as head coach if they lose this game. But yeah, this is one game I don't feel like analyzing at all. They're both one-win teams. It's going to be a pretty ugly game. I'm just going to pick Jacksonville because they should win because they have slightly more talent than New England. But if they don't win, bye-bye Doug and Balky. Goodbye. And now we have the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Atlanta Falcons. The Seahawks, 3 straight losses in a row. They lost on Thursday night to the San Francisco 49ers. And I think this was pretty much evident of the Niners being the better team. And the Falcons taking care of business against the Carolina Panthers, where Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier both ran for 100 yards on the day. Falcons right now, they won like 3 straight games in a row, but more importantly, they won 3 straight in the division. That's going to be something that's going to have a lot of importance later on in the season if it comes down to it. So in this game, this is another one of those. It could be sneakily gone either way, but given Seattle's offensive line problems and a bit of defensive chemistry that has caught up with them, that has derailed them the past couple of weeks, I'm gonna roll with the home team Falcons to win. Falcons are riding a hot streak. I am gonna give them that. And then we have the Tennessee Titans taking on the Buffalo Bills. Titans losing to the Colts at home. More Will Levis memes. And the Bills winning on Monday night in New York against the Jets. In a game that I pretty much only remember for ref ball. There was a lot of penalties in that game that occurred. Hopefully this game they could get James Cook back. He did miss last week due to a toe issue. But if he don't, I do think the Bills should be okay, especially that they have a new toy right now with Amari Cooper now joining the team. But in this game, I'll be very surprised if the Tennessee Titans win. Because in this scenario, the Bills shouldn't have a problem with them. And following that, we have the Battle of Ohio. The Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Cleveland Browns. Bengals, yes, they got a Sunday night win against the Giants, but it was much low scoring and closer than the people anticipated. I expected a lot more from the Bengals this year, especially on the offensive side of the ball, but they pretty much they were not that impressive. The offensive line really struggled in that game. And for the Browns, their offense as a whole's been struggling this year. And what makes matters worse, that Amari Cooper, he's no longer on the team. Deshaun Watson is still the starter. Come on, Browns, just start Jameis Winston already. But hey, they get some good news. Nick Chubb is set to return after missing most of last year with that terrible knee injury. So that's a positive. And you want to know what's another positive? The Browns have been Joe Burrow's kryptonite in his young career. I think, if I'm correct, Joe Burrow is winless in this building. However, I do think that streak might come to an end because I just don't think the Browns are a good team. I feel like the team has quit on Deshaun Watson. I got to go with the road team Bengals to win. But don't be surprised if the Browns get their second win of the season. And then we have the Houston Texans taking on the Green Bay Packers as they'll be debuting their white helmet look for this game. Now, this game is an early contender for game of the week because both teams, I feel like they're kind of evenly matched. They're very young, and I think these two teams are going to be the teams of the future for the AFC and NFC respectively. Texans beat the Patriots last week, and they did make it a little easily. They found a running game at least. Thank God Joe Mixon came back. Also, shout out Dameon Pierce as he also had a good game. And the Packers, they just took care of business against the Cardinals, and they didn't really make it look that hard doing it. Now, this game is going to be a very hotly contested game. I'm expecting fireworks here. And this is one game I think could go in any direction. But because it's being played in Lambeau Field and that home field advantage, I'm going to give the slight edge to the Green Bay Packers. And honestly, this game could go in any direction. I'm expecting a really good showdown here. Following that, we have the Miami Dolphins taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Dolphins coming off a bye week, and Tua is still not ready to play. As he is still, from what I know, he's still on injury reserve. So expect more Snoop Huntley to play. But for the Colts, while they got the win against the Tennessee Titans, they're expecting Anthony Richardson to return, as he's set to return from an oblique injury. And in this game, this is actually very evenly matched. Well, it wouldn't be if Tua was playing. But now that Anthony Richardson is playing, and the Dolphins still don't have Tua, and I don't trust this team without him, I'm going to give the slight edge to the Indianapolis Colts to win. And this is also me saying I don't know the status of Jonathan Taylor for this game. So that's something I got to keep my eye on with that. And then we have pretty much my second pick for game of the week. We have the Detroit Lions taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Let me take that back. The undefeated Minnesota Vikings coming off a bye week. Lions, whew. I mean, I know I picked them to beat the Cowboys, but were they really that mad over last year? It was a murder whooping out there. It was so bad. And also, did Detroit even punt it in that game? It might have did in the fourth quarter, but that's when I stopped watching. It was that bad and embarrassing. But anyways, the Lions basically put their stamp in the NFC map. Meanwhile, for the Minnesota Vikings, like I said, they're coming off a bye week, coming off that long road trip to London, which they won. Which Sam Darnold did not have the best of days, but hey, they won. That's all they want, was the win. This game, oh boy, this is going to be one of the biggest games of the week. And who would have thought that these two teams would have one loss combined amongst these two? And yeah, this is actually a really, really tough game to pick. I don't know, and because it's tight ends day, I really don't know if TJ Hawkinson will be back for this game. He could be. It might be a couple more weeks down the line. But I'm going to give the slightest of edges to the Detroit Lions to win this game. I just believe they have a little bit more offensive firepower over the Minnesota Vikings. But let's be real, this is going to be a really good showdown between these two teams. Next up, we have an NFC East battle between the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Giants. Giants continuing to lose. Last week they lost to the Cincinnati Bengals. Eagles, yes, they beat the Browns, but they were not impressive doing it. And this is with a healthy A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith in the lineup. In this game, yeah, everyone pretty much going to lean towards the Eagles to win because they're the better team. But I will say this. I think the Giants can surprise. I will not be surprised if the Giants upset them. Because the Eagles right now, I mean, yes, they're 3-2, but they're not a good 3-2. Just saying. And following that, we have the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Los Angeles Rams. I almost said Los Angeles Raiders for a sec, but let's be real. That stadium is gonna be filled with Raider fans, as the Raiders, even though they're no longer in California, they still have a big following there. Raiders blown out by the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it is clear as day that they're not a good team. They're a tanking team. They're pretty much going to be going after a top QB in next year's draft. Rams, they're on a bye. They came off a bye week, but hopefully they've gotten healthy. They could be getting one of their receivers back, either Puka or Cooper Kupp, back from injuries sometime soon. And yeah, this game, I'm actually going to lean towards the Rams. They should win if they could feed the ball. If they continue to feed the ball to Kyren Williams, which they have done a good job doing, and given that the Raiders don't have a legit offense, especially after Davante Adams no longer being on the team, yeah, I think the Rams shouldn't have a problem here. And next, for my pain and misery, we have the Carolina Panthers taking on the Washington Commanders. Panthers losing at home to the Falcons, and they do not have no semblance of a defense. They've given up not one, but two 100-yard rushes in the same game, and right now they are on pace to break the single most points given up in a single season. That's how bad they're. So, I wonder how this defense could get some confidence. Oh yeah, how about taking on one of the top scoring offenses in the league? Yes, the Washington Commanders shouldn't have a problem to win. They might put 50 on this team. Yikes. And now we're on a Sunday Night Football with the New York Football Jets taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers beat the Raiders last week. They put them at 4-2, but however, the offense still struggled. And now there's rumblings that Russell Wilson could be getting the start this week. And I mean, if I was the Steelers, I'd have stuck with the winning hand with Justin Fields. That's what I would have done. Meanwhile, the Jets, while they did lose to the lost to the Buffalo Bills, but the Jets put up a decent showing because they finally used Breece Hall in the game. He had over 100 total yards, rushing and receiving. But things are actually going to get better for the spoiled brat Jets and Aaron Rodgers because now they traded for Davante Adams to reunite with Aaron Rodgers. To patch up all their 2-4 problems and to get this team back going, they are saying he will play in this game. And because he is going to be playing this game, the Jets are going to have some semblance of an offense. I'm going to give the slight edge to the New York Jets on the road to win this game. But given that Jets offensive line, TJ Watt, he's going to be licking his chops. And according to the Steelers, an effective TJ Watt is all this team needs. And on Monday Night Football, this should be a good matchup. We have the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Ravens getting a Beltway Bowl win over the Washington Commanders. It was a decent showing. Derrick Henry got going. Lamar threw the ball very well. And Zay Flowers, he is quietly becoming an underrated receiver in the NFL. Meanwhile, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they put up 51 points over the New Orleans Saints. Chris Godwin had a really good game. And Baker Mayfield is continuing to bake, although he did throw 3 interceptions in that game. And in this game, like I said, this should be a good one. And this will be a perfect test to see where the Bucks are. Because in hindsight, I think they can compete with the Ravens. However, I do think the Ravens, they are a bit on a roll. I'm going to give the slight edge to the Ravens to win this game. But I will not be surprised if Tampa Bay pulls a stunner out. This is a game that can go in any direction. And then we have one more Monday night football game over the Los Angeles Chargers and the Arizona Cardinals. And this game is going to be on exclusively streaming on ESPN Plus, which I think is really stupid. Stop, please, just please stop with the exclusive streaming. You're robbing the fans. But anyway, Chargers got a road win over the Broncos. I believe it's their first road win in Denver since 2018. I might correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, it probably was 2018, the first time they beat the Broncos on the road. And the Cardinals, they lost on the road to the Green Bay Packers, but this was a case of them losing to the better team. I thought the Cardinals were going to be pretty much a side of the thorn for every team. A team that I thought the Cardinals were going to be a team that's going to give a bunch of other teams problems, but that has that been the case, but it has not been the case. In this game, I think the Cardinals going up against a really good defense against the Chargers. That's going to be a problem. I'm going to roll with the Go Chargers go here, just on defensive efficiency alone. And then we have our game of the week. Last but not least, the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the San Francisco 49ers in a Super Bowl 50 something rematch. Honestly, I actually lost count. Might have been 58. And if y'all know this game, the Chiefs, this was a game that went to overtime. Chiefs won it in overtime. 49ers once again lost in the Super Bowl. That's what happened last time. But the Chiefs coming off a bye week. Last time we saw them, they had a pretty low scoring win over. It wasn't low scoring. They beat the New Orleans Saints by almost 2 touchdowns. But I feel like we have not seen the Chiefs in peak form yet. Meanwhile, the 49ers, they played on Thursday night, so they had a mini bye coming into this game. Hopefully they've gotten somewhat healthier for this game. And hopefully the weather is not 90-something degrees. This game is one of the more hyped games of the year heading into this season. And I've actually gone back and forth to win for this game. But because I don't know, this one's actually tough, more tougher to pick than you think. But I do believe the Niners aren't quite in peak form yet. Well, neither teams are. But I think the Chiefs are closer to it than you think. And I'm going to roll with the Kansas City Chiefs to win. But I do expect both tight ends, Travis Kelce and George Kittle, to have decent days on tight ends day. And with that being said, that concludes our Week 7 predictions. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Please gamble safely. And I'll see you next time.